The hiring and firing of Stephanie Brown as Robin may be one of the most awkward story arcs out there. And it didn't have to be. Greetings, comic lovers, and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from music comics new and old, to history, to anecdotes, really wherever our whims take us. There have been many Robins, and many fans are aware of the fact that there have been female Robins, and that Stephanie Brown, aka Spoiler, and eventually Batgirl was one of them. But do you know the tale of not only how it happened, but why? Have you witnessed the true awkwardness? Get ready to protect yourself, because it's gonna get a little cringe at points. There's gonna be some awkward bat voice. Actually, you're gonna get doubly protected today because of today's sponsor. This video is brought to you by Atlas VPN. Atlas VPN protects your data online, be it because you're researching, shopping, just streaming, you name it. Atlas VPN is a service that encrypts your data and hides your virtual location. When you connect, you get a new IP and DNS address, and traffic is encrypted and routed out to the VPN server. You can use this across any device, unlimited devices, and it's highly intuitive and easy to access. Open the app and hit connect to enable protection. Then you can go from there. For example, you want to switch your IP, the countries you can choose are on the side. Now, yes, of course, you can use it to tune into other Netflixes, but it does so much more than that. Atlas's Safe Swap helps you protect your anonymity, and if you're terminally online like me across multiple platforms, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, silently, not actively, YouTube, then this is a great help. They also have a data breach monitor. By entering your email address, the tool scans to see if your information has been compromised, and you can set up notifications to be alerted so you can change your information right away, and it tells you when and where this occurred and what was taken. Everything that they offer is laid out very simply and efficiently on their website, and it's in layman's terms, so if you're a less tech-savvy person, you can still understand what's going on. I have a link down below that will allow you to use the service for 86% off. It's a special deal that lets you sign up for 3 years at $139 a month. There's also a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you try it out and don't like it, you can just get a refund. If you're worried about protecting yourself online, it's worth checking out. The link is in the description box and the pinned comment. I bet Stephanie Brown wishes she had just hung around watching Japanese Netflix rather than taking on the role of Robin. She took on that role because she was mad at Tim because she assumed that he was cheating on her. That's right, set phasers to drama. I'm Sasha. Do the YouTube things. Like, subscribe. Firstly, some backstory on Stephanie. Stephanie Brown was created by Chuck Dixon and Tom Lyle and was introduced first in Detective Comics 647 as Stephanie, and the next issue was Spoiler, both of these in 1992. She was initially created as a plot device for the revamping of the villain the Clue Master. He was given a daughter who was out to spoil his plans, hence the name. But she proved to be popular with fans, and so she stuck around. And she would go on to become a major player in the Robin solo series that launched just a year later. Now, before officially becoming Robin, there was another appearance of Stephanie Brown as Robin, and this was in Robin 101. Someone's used to the word Robin, get used to it. This was part of a storyline wherein Tim found himself in another reality, and there he had never become Robin, and Stephanie was Robin. It was fairly well received, and perhaps played a part in her officially taking on the role of Batman's sidekick. Maybe. Now, the period of time that Stephanie was actually Robin was very short. It lasted only a few months comic time, and it spanned from 2004 to 2005 real world comic book time. So she was only Robin for a few issues. And one of those solo 10 you can kind of take or leave because it's written after and seems to slot back in, and it appears to have been written mostly because the artist Damian Scott, who had got his start at DC drawing for the Stephanie Brown arc, well, he missed drawing her, and so he wanted to do another little story with her. The entire of the arc that would lead to the much maligned and controversial death of Stephanie Brown was called War Games overall. But as it was going on, it was broken down into different periods. This period where she's Robin is called War Drums. The majority of the official Stephanie Brown as Robin takes place in the Robin solo series headed by Tim Drake. Only at that period, he had quit being Robin. He had just been coming out of a depression, but then things went awry because his father, Jack Drake, found out that he was Robin. It did not go well. Firstly, he shows up at Bruce's house with a gun. I don't know what kind of weird control you've got on my son, but it's not as absolute as you might hope. I raised him. I know what's in his heart. He threatens to expose Bruce to the world. This man, this grotesque thing stolen you away from us. Tell us how you really feel, Jack. They didn't hear you in the back. Tim ends up quitting to appease his father and to stop him from exposing Bruce and the Bat family to the world. That's issue 125. Stephanie becomes Robin the next issue. There's even a little teaser that says, next issue, a new Robin. Don't even let the dust settle. Just breathe it right into your lungs. Dust in the lungs. Robin, the girl wonder. So this issue was written by Bill Willingham and has art by, as mentioned, Damian Scott. Stephanie and Tim were together at this juncture and were aware of each other's dual identities, which hadn't always been the case. Tim is is settling into a life of not being Robin and is wondering if Stephanie will stop being Spoiler, but that's not on the cards for her. She's determined to stay the course. Both Bruce and Tim have tried to stop her at various points from being Spoiler. In fact, she's had so many run-ins with the Bat family that she's taken to patrolling during the day, and she really wishes that she had their resources. Now, there's an overarching villain of this story called the Scarab, an assassin who's been trying to kill Robin. She's been assigned to kill Robin, but she doesn't know who Robin is, so she's got a list of potential candidates and she's just going through them one by one. So there's a kind of time pressure element. Is she gonna get to Tim? Now, Stephanie's thoughts are given in these issues in the form of a journal that she calls her war journal. So it's like Captain's log, only Spoilers is war journal. And yes, it does feel very hard, like it's trying to tie into the war theme. They just hammer it home. It's a war. Now, I've seen some people say this is childish, but many people keep journals throughout their entire lifetime. As for the contents, that will vary. Stephanie is meant to be a teenage girl, but she is a girl who's gone through a lot of things. But again, this is her own personal space, so really it's gonna depend how you read it. But however you feel about the tone, as a narrative device, the diary is wasted. You'll see why. Now, she's worrying about her relationship with Tim since he stopped being Robin. They haven't really seen each other as much. In fact, he hasn't seen her in 3 weeks, and she wonders what kind of boyfriend would do that? Just ghost like that. Oh, you sweet summer child. So she goes to check up on Tim at his school. And just at that moment, a girl, Darla, with a crush on Tim, walks up and kisses Tim right on the lips. And that's what Stephanie sees. So what does she do? Well, she follows the classic cliche of just jumping to the worst conclusions and not talking to Tim at all and just going off with the first idea she has in her head. It looks bad, so it must be bad. She just goes off from there, and from there turns off to be to make her own Robin costume and to break into the Batcave. From now on, you can call me Robin. Robin's war journal. Day 1. I'm toast.
That homemade costume won't do, and we may have to do something about your hair.
But why take it from a ponytail to just loose? Explain it to me, Bruce. I made it. I'm in. This is so totally cool.
Don't touch anything. Robin.
He called me Robin. Me. It's official. Here's where things start to go awry. Or well, more awry. The art style is very cute and bubbly, and it does convey emotions, but what is being conveyed through the art doesn't match what seems to be the underlying motivations that are being implied. This art makes the exchange cute and fun. Look, Batman even looks like he's smiling a little bit at her antics. He looks fond of her, but when Alfred pulls him aside to talk to him, the implication is that he's only doing this to get back at Tim. That this is out of spite because he knows that since Stephanie is Tim's girlfriend, this will hurt him. Maybe even coax him back. It's like, how dare you quit? I replaced you with your girlfriend, who I was previously not in favor of being a vigilante at all. Take that, teenage boy who I took under my wing. He also doesn't grill her on why she wants to be Robin or anything. It's all very abrupt. A lot is left up for you to infer, and what you can infer is not good. Stephanie is also written a bit like she's never been through anything. And while yes, she's bubbly, she can also be mature and she's been through some stuff. So the balance of her character is a bit off here. She feels like a fangirl, not like someone who's had her own identity for a while at this point, or someone who's had a criminal father and has had that have an impact on them. There was just a lot of pathos to mine there, and it wasn't.
Tim quit. He's a civilian and no longer figures in my plans.
So Batman gives her a new costume and lets her hair fly free. I kind of liked the eyepiece on the hair of her costume better. He puts her on probation and says if she disobeys even once, it's over. He's firing her. 0 tolerance, no second chances. So there's a reading order that you're supposed to follow for the stories to flow, but ultimately it doesn't make much of a difference. And the characterizations vary wildly from book to book.
Come on, Robin, put some steel into it. You hit like a girl. You're slacking. Tim could lift twice the weight you're lifting at this stage in his training.
I'm not sure what to do with any of that, so here's Tim asking that girl Darla on a date, sort of. Even though he's still technically dating Stephanie. Run, Bernard, run. Bernard's in this issue, and as much as I wanted to read all of his lines in a voice like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure because someone said that they feel that they look like that, well, we don't have time. Another time. Some other time. In issue 127, we see the Girl Wonder and Batman out and about, and we're now up to day 46. It's going well. The two are vibing. He's training her, really pushing her, both physically and mentally, even though he's also not around as much. So I do see a lot of people say that he didn't train her as much as other Robins, and just basically that the whole process was not fair. They have banter. Here, have some banter. So boss, when are you gonna let me drive?
When you're old enough.
I already am. I've got my license.
And yet here I am not turning the Batmobile over to you.
Tim has been trying to get in touch with Stephanie, but she hasn't been returning any of his phone calls. Stephanie and Batman have a bit of a difficult encounter with a villain where Stephanie has to think fast on her feet, and she's also a bit shaken to see Batman struggle a bit. Robin's War Journal, day 48. No war today though, just training. Stephanie continues to train, but not always with Bruce. Sometimes she's overseen by the likes of Oracle. But Tim has figured it out, and by figured it out I mean that there was an article in the newspaper about the Girl Wonder, and his friend Bernard showed it to him because Bernard was a Batman and Robin superfan. Did Bruce make Stephanie that little Bat monogram workout shirt, or did she? It's cute either way. Well, I guess you at least know why I'm calling, and I finally know why you've been avoiding me. It's not like that, Tim. It's not? Then what is it like? We have all these diary entries and I still don't know what it's like. He says that they should meet up somewhere and talk about it, but Stephanie can't go because the plots are interconnecting at this point. Batman has been tracking the Scarab. He knows where the Scarab's gonna strike next and he needs Stephanie to go with him to deal with that. Also, there's a whole, they're gonna get Tim and also other victims, but mostly Tim. Batman refers to Tim as the previous Robin in these panels. The ice is cold. Now this issue ends with him about to confront the Scarab, but in the overall universe now there are 3 issues that kind of tie in with Stephanie being Robin. 2 or more team-ups and one is just kind of there. She runs into Connor in the Teen Titans issue, whether he runs into her and he's not pleased. Batgirl issue 53 is written by Dylan Horrocks with art by Dave Ross, and it sees Stephanie teaming up with Cassandra Cain and Oracle to stop the Penguin, who has instituted a scheme that sees criminals using their children as runners. Steph here is bubbly with a more serious undertone, and she takes this mission particularly seriously given the fact that she had a criminal for a father and what that did to her. Teen Titans issue 13, written by Jeff Johns with art by Tom Grummett, and features a cover of Steph and Connor fighting. Really her involvement in this issue is Connor is looking for Tim because no one's heard from him, so he heads over to Gotham, and he sees Stephanie out on patrol and he gets aggressive with her. This is because she won't tell him where Robin is and Batman has to intervene. Then he's like, she's Robin and you know how to find Tim, which he ultimately does. The best issue of this official Stephanie Brown Robin era, in my opinion, is the Detective Comics issue, issue 796. Batman and Robin together again. This story is by Anderson Gabritz with art by Pete Woods. It's a Zaz story that features a very cool artifact, with the idea being that Zaz literally sees his victims differently, so there's the Zaz vision employed, and it's interesting. Quick introduction. I'm Robin, and you're screwed. This story is also the only one in War Drums that gives us Batman's perspective on how he views Stephanie. He's assessing her and he feels that she's coming along very nicely, like she talks a bit too much, but overall he's happy with her progress. He feels that she has a presence, and they have a good dynamic going, and they're very warm together. I'll bring these back. Say hi to Oracle for me.
Robin says hey.
This story does try to bring up why is he taking on Stephanie, with Oracle calling him out, but he just deflects it. I can't believe you're actually letting me help you investigate a murder scene.
Your detective skills need work.
Batman figures out that they're tracking Zaz and fills Stephanie in on his MO. And while on the subway, he's there and he hones in on her. Wait, I see something. She finds a body and Batman is pleased with her reaction.
She wants to scream, to cry out, but she wills a hold on it and transforms it into rage and then into something useful.
He tells her that it's been good work, but it's time for her to go home. But on the way out, she gets captured because actually that corpse was a misdirect. But she's not playing around, just the panel of her biting him looks so painful. Batman shows up and a fight ensues wherein Zaz manages to get an upper hand and an advantage, but Stephanie's there to help Batman out and she just yoinks him back by his nose. Just everything she does in this fight is very painful looking. This what you want, huh? Well then come and get it, you sick freak. Afterwards, Ruth and Stephanie have a serious conversation. He's upset with her and she wants to understand why. He's upset because she used deadly force, or what would have been deadly force if Zaz hadn't had his nose broken, that it would have just driven that cartilage right back up into his brain. I knew it looked like it hurt. That monster almost killed me. He was killing you. He murdered 2 people today and like 100 others before today. And you blame me for trying to stop him? I don't get it. I really don't.
There are always other options than to kill.
Maybe. Are you firing me?
No, I'm teaching you.
And back to Robin. Issue 128 marks Stephanie's last appearance as an official Robin. He fires her this issue. The battle with the Scarab does not go well, and so they need to regroup and try again. Steph is determined to prove herself, but Batman is supportive, even praising her for getting a tracker onto Scarab. Get ready, I'm about to read the praise in the Bat voice. It's gonna be awkward.
You did great. Good girl.
Batman decides that this C-tier villain needs a mech suit. We're gonna go all out. So he suits up and tells Stephanie that she needs to stay in the Batplane, not to come after him no matter what. Also, that assassin was leaving because when she saw the girl Wonder, she assumed that she must have killed the actual Robin, because why else would Batman have replaced him? The battle is going badly. Batman is losing and Stephanie can't just stay there and listen to it, so she dives in impulsively. And she gets herself captured, and Batman has to trade access to his Batplane to save Stephanie, and he's temporarily blinded in the process of all of this. And so he recovers. 3 weeks later, calls her to the cave because he's firing her for disobeying a direct order in the field, even though it was trying to save his life. And other Robins have done stuff similar.
I gave you a fair shot.
Did you though?
You didn't measure up. But there's no shame in that. And Stephanie, let this be an end to all of it. I don't expect to see Spoiler out there either.
Wow. So big of. Now this would lead to Stephanie trying to prove herself, and then she also wouldn't have information that she needed as to what Bruce was planning, and so she would end up in this confrontation with Black Mask and she would get killed. And they'd have to retcon it because it went over really, really badly. There seem to have been some attempts at Jason paralleling, but done poorly. Now this all feels very rushed and choppy and with not as much care behind it, and there's a reason for that. Stephanie Brown becoming Robin was always a gimmick, a misdirect. And that misdirect was to try and trick people into what was going to be the big event of War Games. The former Batgirl author from that time period, Dylan Horrocks, stated, "It was purely as a trick to play on the readers that we would fool them into thinking that the big event, War Games, was that Stephanie Brown would become Robin, when really it was that she would die, and writers were told this from the start," which may account for why it's so awkwardly, lacklusterly, or just bizarrely written at points. It doesn't have the depth that it could have had, because this had the potential to be very good and still could have ended up in a place where hopefully Stephanie wouldn't have died, but maybe she would have gone back to being Spoiler and Tim could have gone back to being Robin. You just need a few tweaks. Perhaps not hinge it on a cheesy romantic soap opera misadventure, misunderstanding, but you could still do that and make it work. You just gotta work a bit harder. Come, imagine with me. Her diary entries could be used to show that while she initially went into it because she was mad at Tim, she's really enjoying her time and learning a lot, using her new connections and just enjoying having a mentor. Also, her friendship with Cassie could be another lifeline to the Bat family, so she could come to really enjoy being part of a group, experiencing that warmth instead of being out there on her own. Batman's motivations could have been made more clear, because as they stand, this make him look awful, petty, and manipulative. Like, was this all to get back at Tim, or some kind of psychological 4D chess to get Stephanie to quit being Spoiler? It doesn't even fully match with how he treats her in the stories, but seems to be in many issues with a rough kind of kindness. It seems like he's giving her a chance and coming to admire her, and then suddenly he just isn't. This arc could have shown him coming around to some of the traits he viewed as weaknesses and really helping her develop. There then could have been a conflict with Tim wanting to come back, but now these two have settled into a dynamic and they're working well together, and she's already privy to all the things he's got planned, and so he doesn't really want to have to retrain Tim and get him up to speed. Plus he's hurt that he quit and chose his own family over the Bat family. And there could be a genuine conflict with Bruce as to which one he wants to be Robin. If we know we go with there can be only one, because he's grown fond of both of them. Personally, I'm a fan of the Bat-Dad dynamic, so it's always nice to show that, and you can add that in with Stephanie, especially because she has her awkward relationship with her father, and so could use a more solid mentor figure if you're going with, you know, good Bat-Dad Bruce, not bad Bat-Dad Bruce. Now at the time, Stephanie wasn't afraid to tease Bruce, while she was also more obviously concerned about him. It was an interesting dynamic that didn't get room to breathe or be properly executed because it was never the end goal, and so why get invested if you're working on it? It doesn't feel like the Robin books particularly welcome it. That was just the vibe I got reading it, as it felt very rushed even compared to some of the other subplots going on in the issue. The villain and the Scarab is set up well, the pacing overall is good, and all the things you expect to happen do, but it also feels disconnected from the emotional weight it should have given what's going on. I think you could have had this great fight between Bruce and Tim, potentially in front of Stephanie, where Bruce accidentally or on purpose throws that line back at Tim that Batman needs a Robin, and Stephanie's there. She could feel used and feel like she's been betrayed, and the Batman could be, no, it's not like that, except that it was, but now it's not. Maybe I should just stop talking and go write this fanfic that's clearly writing itself in my head. This very much felt like and was received as Stephanie being used and devalued as a character to feel the stories of the people around her, which sadly was how she had started, but she had broken out from that because so many people enjoyed her as a character, so to kill her off seemed like a waste. It also felt like a rehash because Batman had already lost sidekicks, specifically a Robin. It felt like making her a Robin was just to draw an awkward Jason parallel. More interesting, in my opinion, use of that parallel would have been to see if he could explain that no killing philosophy to her in a way that made sense. A redo of the scene in Detective Comics 796, which really sold that dynamic for me. It's odd because Stephanie really works on her own as her own identity, but this period as Robin could also have been so much more. Now there have been occasions where Stephanie has returned as Robin. For example, in the alternate universe tale Deceased. How would you have executed this story? Are you a fan of the concept of Stephanie as Robin at all? What is your favorite identity for Stephanie? Did I say Stephanie enough times this episode? I don't think I did. Just some musings on storylines past. Share all your thoughts down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Check out Atlas VPN if you're interested. Before that, this is a new Nicolas Cage shirt. Let me show it to you. Yes, this is a Cage fight shirt, Mortal Kombat style, with various versions of Nicolas Cage. Yes, one of them is John Travolta, and yes, that's hilarious. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day spent discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.